This is the Meet the Team pod. I'm Brady Jolly, and I'm with my friend Austin Wilburn. Austin is a senior service technician here at Jolly, and we're just going to get to know him today. So, Austin, let's dive in, man. Just tell me about you, tell me about your family, tell me about your life.
Yeah, thanks for having me. As far as who I am, I was raised in Ohio. Um, Come from a family of five kids altogether. I'm married to my wife. I got two little girls. Love them to death. Um, that's as far as my family background goes. I really didn't do too much plumbing before I started here. It's kind of funny because I used to be a maintenance technician and I went to school and everything for that. But during the pandemic, it was hard for me and my wife. She was pregnant with my first daughter. I was working the late night shift. It just wasn't working out. So I told her, I was looking online and on Indeed and stuff like that for, different jobs that I could possibly do. And I stumbled across the ad that you guys were hiring, that we were hiring, and it was kind of funny because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get this plumbing job because I don't have any residential plumbing experience, but let's give it a shot, right? And 2 days later, Ryan gives me a call and says, "Hey, you want to do a phone call interview?"
That's awesome.
Because things were still weird,
Yep.
about all
Yeah,
the
so
jobs and
when
stuff.
was that? How many years ago was that?
That was, let's see, I got hired in May, so that was almost 2.5 years ago, I'd say, closer to three.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about that. Like, what was that like? What was your thought process like about going into plumbing? I know you kind of were in a trade because you were maintenance, right? But what was that like? Like, what did you expect? Talk to us about what the expectations were, and then what like the reality was when you came on board.
Yeah. So, like, my initial feeling after I talked to Ryan on the phone, I was like a little nervous, kind of. I don't want to say insecure, but it was something that I had, didn't know anything about. So that was kind of a different step for me, especially with my family situation at the house, my wife being pregnant and all that. It was kind of a little nerve wracking because it's like, do I try something new, switch a different career? So that was kind of a little overwhelming, but you know, obviously I got through it. I'm here, so.
Yeah, so that's what a lot of people don't realize about like most of our plumbers. Like the majority of our plumbers weren't plumbers really before they came here. A lot of them had background in maintenance or something. But just talk about that, like about the transition, about the training period, like what that looked like for you and how that worked.
Yeah. So my first day, I came in. I talked with Daniel, and we kind of set up a game plan of what was expected of me. And we talked about different training and stuff. And I'm always interested in training on new stuff or getting those repetitions in for training. But it was actually a pretty easy transition because everything was kind of set up to where we're gonna, I'll be available to progress, and I've got goals already set, which isn't something that you find, especially at my other job. There weren't any goals. You just had a deadline for something. That
Now
was
tell
it.
me about your other job. Was were you at an apartment complex? Were you at a commercial facility? Where were you at?
It was an industrial warehouse. We made different products for, trade stuff.
And then how do you think that your experience there helped you with what you do now here?
Um, I really, so I went to school for about a year and a half for a certificate program to be an industrial electrician and programmer,
Cool, I
computer
didn't know that.
programmer. Yeah. So my mechanical experience before that was nothing. One thing I did like about the other job though was the guys on my team were willing to help me out with that mechanical knowledge. They'd sit me down, show me similar to what kind of goes on here. Um, but as far as that goes, you know, it helped transition because it kind of gave me this ambition to learn some more stuff that I didn't know. and at that place, it was okay as long if you weren't successful at something or something accidentally happened that wasn't foreseen or expected. We would regroup and get the problem solved. So, just like in anything, give yourself some time to sit back and look at some stuff and adjust.
So around here, we say a lot, do the right thing without compromise. That, like, you're one of the guys that comes to mind when I say that,
Thank you.
no matter what, I know, like, you are going to do the right thing for the customer, do the right thing for the company, do the right thing for your teammates. Talk about that. Like, obviously in the trades, we have a reputation sometimes of like the mechanics mentality, and that's something that we want to go as far away from as possible here at Jolly. Just talk about that, like doing the right thing.
Yeah. So when I'm at a customer's home, I there's a lot of different mindsets that I'm in. One, I'm there to solve a problem that they have, and two, most of the time they're in a state of concern or stress because something's happened where they've got water damage or something's gone wrong with their home that isn't, giving them what they want. So, in those situations, you just kind of got to step back and look and say, hey, if this is one of my family members, what would I do? I would want to give them the most knowledge about what's going on. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know a lot about what's going on in their home mechanically. So I like the fact that I have the time to be able to talk a customer through what's going on in their home, educate them on what's going on in their home, and then we can come to a decision or a solution to fix their issues. Because at the end of the day, you want people to be comfortable and happy. That's why we're here, right? And fortunately for our customers, they can give us a call and know that we're going to get their problem solved. So.
It's great, man. Yeah, and I mean, we regularly see people calling in and saying, "Hey, we want Austin again." We, tech specific, right? That's what we call it. We love that when they call that. So you get a lot of customers that do that, and a lot of Google reviews. And I think it's that mindset of like, you're there to help them. You're there to make sure that you can take care of their problems, right, and make their life easier. That's awesome. So you have had this journey here that's really unique and cool. I think almost 3 years, apprentice to service technician to senior service technician as of recently. So congrats again on that promotion. And just tell us about what that journey's been like and now what the senior tech role's like.
Yeah, it's been a pretty, it's been a steady journey. I don't want to say there's a bunch of ups and downs because it always seems like we've had a game plan of what we want to do. We've always had our goals kind of set out for us. Now some things come up that aren't predicted. You just got to roll with it. But as far as that journey goes, it's been great for me because I'm, continuing to learn, not just mechanically, but in my soft skills, communication, and stuff like that, which has helped me out a lot. But it's been great. And as far as Google reviews and stuff, we love the Google reviews, right? But asking the customer if they would just feel comfortable leaving me a 5-star review is the answer that I want at the end of a call, and that just tells me that they're happy with
Sure.
what.
Yeah. So we teach our service system.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you think that your biggest strength, what step within the service system is your biggest strength and why?
My biggest strength, I love being able to go to a customer's home and explain to them, things that they can have to get them back to a normal state, or if they're curious to upgrade. I like being able to give kind of different ways to do it across the board. That'll help them out with their lifestyle or and things like that. But as far as my biggest strength goes, man, that's a tough one.
Would you say like your like the greet step, explore step? Like what do you think's some of your?
I like the greet step. I think I do pretty well at that. It's something that I've always focused on and staying consistent on. It's something that's always evolving and changing because different guys on our team do it different ways. So when I hear different insight from those guys, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. You know, I want to try that. Or in a certain situation, it's like, oh, that would have been better if I, would have started with that or something like that. So I definitely like the greet step because that allows the customer to kind of get to know me, kind of lets me get to know the customer, not just about the issues that they're having in their home, but, if they're like basketball teams or hunting or, stuff like they like to do too. So it just kind of allows me to start a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, and it's obvious that you're able to build a lot of trust through that with your customers. That's great. Okay, so let's shift a little bit to some stories, some things that have happened to you in the trades. You've been in maintenance for a few years, and now you've been in here for almost 3 years. So throughout your whole time in the trades, do you have any stories, anything interesting or crazy that's ever happened to you?
Yeah, I've got a couple of them, and this would have never happened, obviously, at my other job, at my maintenance job, but when I first started here, I can't remember exactly what town it was in, but this lady, she had a water leak under her home.
Crawl space, basement?
It was under a modular home, and she didn't have any water pressure. She didn't know what was happening. So I talked to her, say, here's the game plan of what's going on. This is kind of a nutshell thing, right? And I start to take the siding off of this home, get underneath the house, and there's just this awful smell. And I don't know what it is. It literally smelled like something had died. It turns out it was. Turns out that there was like a skunk that died in the winter time. Yeah, across the water line for the main line. And these are flexible lines.
So this is like PEX?
Yeah, a little worse than PEX. But it died across these water lines over the winter time and separated the fittings on it. So by the time the weight of the skunk, it got up in the insulation, tore the insulation all apart, and then died across the water lines. I don't know how it got in or how it died under there. I don't know, but it was dead. So I found it, and I turned the water on, and sure enough, the water was leaking right underneath that dead skunk. And unfortunately, the only way I could get to it was to move said dead skunk. So I go back out to my van.
Did you have a helper or apprentice with you at this time?
I didn't. No, right. No, I didn't, and I wouldn't have sent him in there anyway, But I walked out to my van, and I'm just like, oh, what do I do, So our vans are equipped with PPE equipment and stuff. So I put the gloves on, and I even put the Tyvek suit on, right? But this is late spring, kind of summertime, so it's pretty hot underneath this home, right? So I pull the skunk, get it off the water lines, and at this point I'm sweating, right? I'm sweating head to toe, and I get the fittings connected and everything, and I'm pulling this skunk out, and at this point in time, like I've already unzipped the Tyvek suit because I'm just sweating like crazy, and crawling out on my back with the skunk tail in one hand and pulling myself with my other hand across the bottom of this home, and I get out to the edge of the siding, and there's a wasp nest that I pulled the siding off of, and they weren't very, very happy that I was under there, so they just start lighting my stomach up like a Christmas tree. Yeah, I got stung probably 5 to 7 times, I'd say.
No.
Yeah. So I got the water line fixed, and at that point in time, it's a little later in the day, and this isn't something normally that I do. I get the skunk out, and I call dispatch, and they're understanding about the situation that I'm in. I smell like a dead skunk. I'm stung, all over my belly by wasp, and I'm like, hey, guys, is it okay if I just go home for the day? And they're like, yeah, just go ahead and clock out. Like,
Dude,
yeah.
I don't think I'd ever heard that. That's crazy. How long had you been in a truck at that time?
I'd probably say, let's see, this was probably, I got in a truck in around September or October. I'd probably say maybe like 4 or 5 months.
What a welcome to the plumbing
Yeah.
business.
Good thing is, though, is it hasn't gotten any worse, so.
That's right. That's the worst one yet.
That's the worst, absolute worst one.
Man, that's crazy. All right, so we talk about like crawl spaces. You know, we got to spend a lot of time in crawl spaces as plumbers. Other than a dead skunk, like what are you most not wanting to see when you're in a crawl space?
Well, there's a couple things. Spiders aren't too much for me. I can deal with the spiders. But I was in a customer's home, and they're rural Kentucky, and it's kind of a cellar-style basement, low-hanging ceiling. And we're down there, and I'm doing my evaluation and everything, and they had an issue with their sewer line. So there's a supporting wall that runs right in the middle of the home. So on the other side of the wall is a crawl space, and they have like this wooden hatch, like door. And there's a sewer problem, and I'm telling the guy like I might have to get in this crawl space, and he's like, okay. And I go, and I didn't notice it at the time, but I go to open the door to the crawl space, and there's a snake skin, a dried snake skin, and it's like dried like this long. So I'm thinking like this snake's got to be at least 4 feet long, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can do that. So eventually I kind of calm myself down. I call our sewer team, right? Not that I wanted those guys to go in there, and not me, but we were able to find that the sewer problem was outside of the house, under the ground.
So you didn't have to go in there.
So I didn't have to go in there, and I was just like,
thank God.
man, that was, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. Do any other stories come to mind?
As far as terror stories, those are probably my top 2. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, tell us, like, what's your favorite thing about working at Jolly?
As far as my favorite thing, this is a great company, and I'm not trying to over the top this, but it really is, and it's a company that I found that'll look out for their employees. A lot of my other jobs in the past, management hasn't been involved with the work that's being done, whether it was in a kitchen or in maintenance or wherever, at the grocery store. I used to work at Kroger, right? Like everybody in Cincinnati. But the management team's really involved. So it's nice knowing that if you do need to talk to a manager or something, there's someone always available to talk to about anything, trade related or on the personal side, that I find really a good thing. And then, there's benefits to not just the health benefits and stuff like that, but training. I like doing training, so yeah, it's
cool.
It's really cool.
All right, so we all have our favorite jobs and our least favorite jobs to go to, right?
Sure.
When you get dispatched to a job, that ticket says something like, what are you looking at that's like, you're like, man, this is awesome. This is my favorite type of job.
Yeah. My favorite type of job, I'd say, like, as far as my experience level goes, I'm pretty good at working on gas systems, at least on the residential side. I've had a lot of practice with that, not just from here, but from my other job. But I feel pretty comfortable with that. So when I see something like a gas leak on a ticket, there's only a certain number of ways you can go about diagnosing a gas leak. So, and I guess that falls for anything, but when I see that on a ticket, I already have a game plan in my head of what could be done or what should be done, especially with the local energy company and stuff like that. We're always going with their standards, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are turning it off and turning it back on, right? So we have to go to their standards. and I feel pretty comfortable with knowing what they're expecting of us. So I would say something like that.
Cool. Yeah, I know you're our gas expert, man. You're always getting the first dibs on those jobs.
Yeah.
Is not always easy, right?
Yeah, and I don't mind, especially if I've got a helper and stuff. I don't mind explaining stuff to them because a lot of people get nervous about it. But I find that taking those steps and knowing the steps on how to get to a solution for a gas leak or whatever it is real important.
So, we're big on parties and events here, and you're like one of the guys that's at most of those events. What's your favorite one we've ever had?
The Christmas party's great. I'm sure a lot of people have said that they enjoyed it. I like it. Gives us time to just kind of hang out as a company. You get to meet everybody's spouses and just have a good time. But I also like the Reds game too.
Reds game's a good one.
Not a big baseball fan, but it's a good atmosphere.
What's the coolest gift you or your wife have won at the Christmas party?
The first one we went to, we won like an Instapot crock pot. That was really cool.
Still use it?
Oh yeah. I can roast a chicken in like an hour, so it's great. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So let's go back to family. Tell me what, like, you and your girls and your wife, what do you guys like to do for fun?
Well, my kids are still pretty little, but at this past Christmas party, we signed up for the Kings Island tickets because last year we took my daughter to Planet Snoopy, and she loves Snoopy. I mean, I don't know if she loves Snoopy more or my wife loves Snoopy more, but we went to Planet Snoopy, and it just blew her little mind. So it was really cool to see that. So I'm excited to do that this year with them. And now that my youngest is getting a little older, she'll be able to kind of see what's going on, and
Cool.
it'll be fun. Yeah,
That's awesome,
I'm excited about it.
I forget if it was Isaiah or Alex installed like a $10,000 toilet. But has there been any like crazy equipment that you've ever installed or anything like that?
Crazy equipment. I mean, besides that water softener that I did a few months ago, the 200-gallon some water softener, that was a pretty big job. That's probably the craziest thing that I've had to install.
What about customer-wise? Has there been any like crazy off-the-wall customers or really cool customers or anything like that?
I haven't been to any like celebrities' houses or stuff, but I have been to like a house that these customers they were really nice people, but you could like probably drive a car up their stairwell. It was that wide. So that was probably like the easiest job I could do because I didn't have to worry about knocking stuff into walls and like, you know what I mean? Like making sure, but as far as like crazy customers, besides people being, sometimes unpleasant and rude, I don't really have too much on that.
Cool.
So.
Great. Well, hey man, you are like one of the best dudes here. Can't thank you enough. I hope that you're here for a really long time, man. It's an honor to work with you. Like you're just mean a lot to a lot of people here and to our customers. So can't thank you enough for everything you do for us, man. Thanks for being on and thanks for everything you do.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
For sure.